I think, teams have been a growing part of real estate, and I think teams will continue to be a big part of the future. I think teams are the future of real estate, right? Because the 24-hour on-demand consumer that pushes the button on Zillow or Redfin or whatever it is that wants to go see a house right now, they don't want to wait for you to finish your consultation or meeting so they can get that response. And that's why teams have grown.
So the question is this: how do most agents find the secrets to succeed in today's competitive real estate market, especially when the top agents are keeping those secrets to themselves? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Hi, I'm Aaron Amuchastegui, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars.
Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui. Hey, today's going to be a really great interview for you guys. We're not just going to provide value to new agents that just got into real estate and are trying to figure out how to get to the next level. We're also going to provide value to people that are thinking about joining teams or switching teams or have gone through that experience as they've grown in their career, but also really should provide a lot of value to people who have teams, who have people that have been growing teams and have been struggling with the idea of, people helping them and then getting so successful they end up going out on their own. So we're going to cover a lot of stuff today as I interview Brett Jennings. He's the founder of the Real Estate Experts out in Silicon Valley. Brett, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Aaron, thank you so much for inviting me. Happy to show up and share some knowledge today.
Yeah. So when I say Silicon Valley, where are you out there? What are your coverage areas? What's your team like out there right now?
Yeah. Well, we affectionately call the area we're in internally, we call it the Garden of Eden of real estate because our average price point here, median price point, San Jose, California is kind of the major metro, which most of Silicon Valley is based around. And our average price point here is about $1.3 million. So when I get to go to conferences, across the country and network with other agents, they usually want to throw rocks at us. They're like, we got to sell 5 houses to the one that you sell. But been here for 12 years. Got into real estate right at the beginning of the downturn. Literally signed up at Keller Williams 3 days before Bear Stearns collapsed. So that was in end of 2007. And it's been a great journey going from being a solo agent. Actually started out on a team. My second year became a solo agent. And then my third year started building a team. And now we run it. I have a real estate team called Brett Jennings Group, but I also own what I call a teamerage. It's technically a brokerage, but it's a hybrid between a team and a brokerage where agents can find a lot more opportunity in the form of company-generated leads, support, strong level of support and infrastructure they'd find if they were working on a team, and higher splits than they would at a traditional team. So it's a formula that works for us. So I have 5 agents on my personal team, and then we have about 50 agents at the teamerage, which are more independent agents than some teams that make up that 50. But my personal team last year, we did about 100 transactions for $130 million in sales on my 5-agent team. And we did about 370 transactions at that time last year, we had about 25 agents for just under $500 million.
Wow. What's the market like? What's the market been like over the past 12 months out there? So COVID hit, what happened, and what's it been like since then?
Yeah, great question. Well, we are kind of the epicenter of technology here in Silicon Valley. And, work from home obviously hit everybody everywhere. COVID hit everybody everywhere. But what came out of it, I think anybody in real estate would agree that we were all surprised. In the first, I remember March 17th, we as a team got together because we do quarterly planning every 90 days. And the way we run our business, we get together, what worked, what didn't work. And I remember that meeting on March 20th or whatever. It was like the day after they announced shelter in place. And, it was kind of an oh shit moment, really. It was like, whoa, what's happening, what's likely to happen. And I'm a big student of the industry and the business. And I just took a quick look at, what real estate market what had happened in real estate markets and other pandemics. And sure enough, things dropped 50 to 60% and that will gradually come back. So we battened down the hatches, cut expenses, took some PPP funds, and we were really preparing for a long winter. But to everyone's surprise, within 8 weeks, and when they started to gradually make real estate an essential service, our market and our business really bounced back. So Q2 was a little slow in 2020, but man, we are seeing what I call the untethering of the American worker, especially here in tech. Everyone's seeking more space. So we saw, at the end of the year in Q4, we ended up with 30% more transaction volume happening, because all these people, man, that if you were thinking about like moving right before COVID, and then you get cooped up in your house for 60 days, you're like, man, get me the hell out of here. Yeah. And that really, really drove some transactional velocity that we're still experiencing now. And I think that's true when I talk to other agents and teams across the country. Everybody's, kind of feeling like, man, this is just a blitz right now. And how do we, position and keep ourselves ahead of it? But I think one of the things that we did early on that really helped us create some momentum and velocity was when shelter in place first happened. Like the messaging, Aaron, we put out to my team was like, hey guys, don't try to sell anything right now. Like, let's just hunker down. Let's stop. Let's pause for a moment. And what do the people that we're in relationship really need, And so we partnered. I remember telling my sales manager, I'm like, there's got to be old people and stuff that can't get out to the grocery store. Like, let's rally our people and do some things and maybe get groceries out to them, and we can raise funds on GoFundMe. And she's like, Brett, that's a lot of logistics. And as chance would have it, just having that strong intention, the next day we bumped into somebody at a property showing that was a partner at the food bank. And he's like, dude, come help. Like, we'll provide free groceries for any of your people who can't get out. And so we spent the first few weeks of COVID deep in volunteering just in our local community. And then with that, reaching out to our database about, hey, do you need anything? Are you okay? And we that caring, connecting, and providing clarity about where real estate likely was going to go was like, it was pretty game changing. We ended up flying, having a huge trajectory up with sales and deals and goodwill that we built through that. But yeah, anyway, a long answer to your short question.
No, it's awesome. The "Are you okay?" questions and phone calls. One of my businesses is essentially a recurring revenue subscription service where people pay anywhere from $40 to a few $100 a month for our data, right? For our software. And when COVID first hit, we said, hey, we need to call every one of our members. And it was the same thing. I was very much in panic mode. I was like, hey, things are going to fall apart in a lot of our different businesses and fire selling some real estate. But I said, just call everybody and see how they are. See what they need, and just Jack, he called every one of our members and they were like, well, what? Some people are going to cancel. I'm like, some people are going to cancel, but I'd rather know now who is going to or not. And what we found was they were like, when we'd call, they're like, you're not calling us something. No, we're just calling to see if you're okay. And there would be people that would ask Jack to pray for him. There'd be people that they would like vent to him for an hour or two. There were other people that were just like, it was just such a strange time. And it ended up creating just a crazy amount of goodwill, but also then changed the way that I even look at business in some of those businesses, because so much of business can be a widget, can be a transaction. And by leading with the, hey, are you okay? Really, like there's no catch. We're just calling to check on you because it's a crazy time. And leading it with that in business of how actually that's also a really good business decision was fascinating to see that kind of play out. So you guys, so there's a bunch of transactions going on out there, really high price points, a big year. So back in 2008, when you first got started, were you out in the Bay Area then?
Yeah. No, it started kind of homegrown. Was born at Stanford Hospital, right in the center of Silicon Valley, and then grew up, in the area that we're in. I moved away for a while, spent a few years living in Tahoe, a year living in La Jolla, in my 20s, just, doing some surfing and snowboarding and stuff, but just ended up coming back here.
How did you leave La Jolla? I always still dream of the days when I lived on the Central Coast in California, and I had this nice little oceanfront apartment when I was 20, and I didn't know life would never be that good again.
I left La Jolla for Tahoe, and I'm more of a mountain guy than I am a beach guy. I love the beach, I love the mountains, but give me one or the other, and I'll pick the mountains.
Yeah.
And so, but Yeah, no, one of the things though you just touched on though was this whole thing about being human, right? Like your outreach that you did with your company. And I think, that can sometimes get lost, right? Like we get so focused in real estate on like knocking out the next deal and what's the best script to use for this. But like we forget that, people want to be related to as a human first and how far that goes. Because, one of the things that I've heard said is real estate is all about relationships until it's about real estate.
Okay.
And that seems to be true. It's like how much further and how much better our business goes if, we're a quality human first and then get after it. But, if you do both, you have awesome strategies, tactics, and scripts, and you're a great human, man, you're unstoppable.
And you're unstoppable. And the human connection it goes so much in the world of Zoom and the world of remote stuff. When you get to, people need a human connection. We need more than we had before. When people went and worked in offices, everybody had different levels of human connection, even if they weren't they like interacted with people all day long. And now that they're not interacting with each other all day long, the human connection is so much more important. And yeah, if you've got the skills and you lead with human first, then yeah, you're unstoppable. Real Estate Rockstars, this is a commercial break from our biggest podcast sponsor we have right now, RentRedi. It can be fun getting a new real estate deal, but it can be tough managing your properties after the fact, especially if you're long distance investing or trying to manage multiple properties by yourself. That's why we're here to tell you about RentRedi. RentRedi is a property management software that not only makes it easier to manage all your real estate deals from one platform, but they also have the best customer service support in the biz. They're an all-in-one app that lets you easily manage properties, collect rent, list units, screen tenants, sign leases, all from your phone or computer. Imagine all of your real estate doors right in your pocket. How awesome is that? The best part is it's so affordable, one flat price for everything. Unlimited properties, tenants, and support with a real live human. And I have to add in there, that's a new business model that not a lot of people are doing. There's like this freemium model where people say, hey, you can try this, but as soon as you grow, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Or they kind of punish you when you get too many emails on your list or too many comments. They aren't going to punish you when you grow. They're not going to charge you more when you get 10, 20, 30 rentals. They're going to charge you the same when you have 2 or 3 as they will when you have 50 or 60. So you have a nice fixed cost, all software, all in one place. Check it out, RentRedi, RentRedi.com. And if that's not enough, RentRedi is giving our listeners a special code you can use to get a whole year of RentRedi for just $54. Use code ROCKSTAR50, that's Rockstar50, and sign up for RentRedi's annual plan at RentRedi.com. Again, RentRedi.com with code Rockstar50 to get RentRedi for only $54. So 2008, you became an agent. That was at a time when the only stuff on the market, though, was like short sales from builders or people getting foreclosed on. What was it like your first year in real estate? How did you get your first deals?
Yeah, that's a great question. So interestingly enough, my journey through both real estate and just being an entrepreneur is about turning lemons into lemonade. So what happened for me was, when I very first started, one of the first transactions I got that landed in my lap, I started a real estate investor group as a part of a business building lead generation tactic, right? So I put this up on, meetup.com. And I'd host, because my background, I had done some real estate investing before I'd gotten into real estate. And I thought that would be a good venue for me. So one of the first deals that landed in my lap was a short sale and of a gal who was leaving to go to dental school. And she reached out to me and said, Brett, I've got 2 properties. One I live in and rent out rooms. The other one I just rent out rooms. And I think these things may be worth less than, I owe more than they're worth. Can you help me? And I was like, I haven't done a short sale before. And this was right at the leading edge of it, right? But I'm committed to helping you and I'll figure it out. And in my previous real estate investing experience, I had taken a property back in foreclosure where we had done a hard money loan and had to take it back. So I knew a little bit about the nuances of, in the notice defaults and foreclosure process, et cetera. So I got the first short sale done in like 5 weeks. I got the second one done in 6 weeks. And then Aaron, I got a phone call from the title company and they're like, hey, what are you doing? Because we haven't seen these short sales since the 90s and they're starting to stack up in our offices. You've got these things done very quickly, while most other agents are like taking 3-4 months and they're pulling their hair out. would you be willing to teach a class with our senior escrow officer to other real estate agents on how to get these short sales done? I'm like, well, I'm not an expert, but I'll share what I know. And I've always come from that place of contribution and giving. Like, I don't come from a scarcity mindset. If it's always like, look, man, I'll share what I know because I know I'm confident in my ability to execute. You can go to a seminar and you know that like people take notes and stuff, but only 3% of the people actually go implement. So I've never been worried about that. So anyway, I taught this class with the escrow officer, 4 sessions at like 4 different either real estate offices. Anyway, by the end of this, mind you, this is like my, I don't know, 6th, 7th or 8th month in the business. When I finished those classes, I got 50 agents coming to me going, dude, Brett, I got one of these short sales coming up. Here's my card. I'll deal with the homeowner. You deal with the bank. We'll split the deal. And so I was like, okay. But now I had this challenge on my hands because if you've ever done a short sale, you remember in the old days, you had to sit on hold for like 2 hours with Bank of America, Wells Fargo, whatever, for every file every week. And I had 50 of these things. So then I quickly had to kind of build a whole short sale processing company. I did that. And then we started processing files for the agents. All of a sudden I became this magnet for distressed property. I've got 200 or 300 distressed property listings. And then I'm back in the game of real estate investing, where I partnered with an investor and we ended up doing a ton of flips together coming out of that. But
so is that 2008 you did your first short sale, or was it still
2008? 2008, I think it was 2007 or 2008 was my first short sale.
Yeah, that was a really interesting time. Listeners have heard me talk about it a lot, but it was 2009. I went from being a home builder in Central Coast of California in 2006 to 2007. Market starts crashing. We moved to Sacramento, keeps crashing, and by beginning of 2009, the only game in town was short sales and REOs. And we started, we couldn't figure out how to get them from agents. We couldn't, we couldn't figure out how to get the REOs because they were selling to their friends. Because even in 2009 felt like we were late to the game. So we started buying on the courthouse steps. And with that business, we were totally early. We were one of the first. And so it was just a similar kind of growth to what you had. We went from no transactions as flips till we figured out this new thing. And all of a sudden we were doing dozens and dozens and dozens every month. And so it was very quickly like, oh, we found a vein. We found a business that nobody knows about. We figured out how to fix it, how to make a better mousetrap. And then also it took off really, really quickly. So your real estate stuff grew really quickly. You focused on short sales. You formed a team to do that. Eventually short sales ran out, but what would you have, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself as an early agent, you come in to get your license? What advice would you give to those people that are just getting licensed or thinking about getting licensed that you wish you would have known?
Yeah. I think my secret to success in that chapter of my real estate career was this principle called master the market of the moment. Find out what are the nuanced like understandings or niches that are, in the industry right now that are outperforming, the rest of the business, because we had 40% of the agents left real estate, between 2008 and 2012. And at the same time, like my business was doubling or tripling year over year. And that I think exists in any climate, right? So part of the thing and Aaron, we're part of this group GoBundance that really emphasizes this is you got to have a ground game and you got to have an air game. Your ground game is your day-to-day in the grind, hustling, doing what you need to do to make money. And your air game is like being able to take the time to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and see, hey, what's happening. And so I've taken that philosophy and just applied it consistently, to the rest of my business. So for example, when I was knee deep in it and we were crushing it with short sales, I started thinking, okay, well, hey, this isn't going to last forever. Like where are things going? And I was clear that we were going to probably come back to a normal market. And at that time in 2011, 12, like real estate teams were starting to emerge and like, wow, we're seeing like these people who are super successful doing hundreds of transactions. And now these teams are doing thousands, right? But at the time in 11 and 12, you met a team leader who was doing 100, 200, 300 transactions. It was like remarkable. And just looking at kind of where those pockets of opportunity were, or those people or segments of the industry that were outperforming. So I'm like, dude, I want to build a real estate team. And, my background coming out of college, I worked for Tony Robbins for 2 years. And that was probably like the best on the job training I could have gotten as an entrepreneur or as, in anything, just because it just taught me that whole principle of modeling. Like, dude, you don't need to be the smartest kid in class. You just need to sit next to them and take good notes. So, and that became my philosophy, and it really helped us accelerate, to double, everything we've done in our business year over year. I mean, we had a couple of years where things flatten out. I call those foundational years. You're trying to set the stage for the next push up. But that's what it's been, man.
Yeah, I really like that. Like figuring out the like the thing of the moment. Like, what is the big thing of the moment? I remember, 2012 when foreclosures were gone. I was thinking, man, I had no idea that I was in the middle of like history being made and how big of an opportunity this was. And then I got a second chance at it in 2015 in a new state where nobody was in the business. By that time, I actually knew like, okay, this is history in the making. I need to take big advantage of this now. And then I kind of feel like that's, happened this last year, going to be happening this next year. I think over the next couple of years, we're going to have a lot of like things of the moment, right? And so being able to become an expert at whatever the opportunity is, understanding it may be a once in a lifetime opportunity, but being quick to also say like, look ahead. So I love that philosophy of it's not just try. I've lived through a few of those ups and downs and a few of those markets. And now I look back and go, man, I wish I would have realized then how big of a deal this is. And I think maybe a message to agents now is pay attention to what you're in, because any month, anything, the thing that happens now or 6 months from now or a year from now could be the moment of a lifetime, right? That we've got. And so knowing when to go all in and say, hey, this is a thing that's working. It may only be a 6 or 9 or 12 month opportunity. Let's go all in.
Yeah. Let's ride that pony until it gets across the finish line or wherever that may be.
Wherever it is. Like again, I remember when I first started flipping houses, I told my wife, like, this is only going to last a year. Right. Foreclosures are only going to last a year. So we'll see how we can do this. And at that time, scaling up was going to 10 houses a month. And, we still, anyway, we should have done 100 back then.
Yeah.
So,
well, I feel like we're in one of those phases, at least my personal experience with our business, one of those phases right now that, there's this convergence of market forces and changes in real estate that are driving, an exponential growth in our business and the business of other real estate agents and teams and stuff right now. Yeah.
So let's jump to your team bridge thing that you talked about. So this is the section of, so there's a lot of stuff about, new agents out there. I mean, so much value we just already offered for people that have been around for a long time too, but about the team bridge stuff, you said you had a problem with, in the team where people would get really, or maybe other people were having this problem where someone would get so good on the team that all of a sudden they didn't need you anymore. And essentially you were having to rehire every couple of years. And I was at a barbecue this last weekend, and there was an agent there, out of like Baltimore, big team. Right. And he was talking about the turnover that happens and how do you manage turnover? How do you keep people from leaving?
Yeah. And I think I think, teams have been a growing part of real estate, and I think teams will continue to be a big part of the future. I think teams are the future of real estate, right? Because the 24-hour on-demand consumer that pushes the button on Zillow or Redfin or whatever it is that wants to go see a house right now, they don't want to wait for you to finish your consultation or meeting so they can get that response. And that's why teams have grown. The challenge with team owners and the team model, Gary Keller was a big influence in my success in my career. I think he's a genius in a lot of ways. But one of the things I remember him sharing with me was like, look, for all you team leaders out there who want to build these teams, most of you want to hire people, pay them as little as possible, take all the credit, and then you expect your talented people to stay. And, he said, what kind of business do you want to own? Do you want to own a business that's got constant churn and turnover? Or do you want to grow with high margins, but a lot of frustration? Or do you want to own a business that's a bigger business, maybe with slightly lower margins, but if you scale it, you have a bigger net profit and it's much more durable? And that really kind of hit me between the eyes, because what I recognized in Silicon Valley was we have the most educated consumer base in the country here. Like everyone works in tech. They got an advanced degree, probably a master's or something. And what I found was when I just hired brand new agents to work with them as buyers, these guys, pretty smart people, had us expectation that the person who's sitting across the table from them to help them with real estate is at least as sharp at their craft as they are about theirs. And so it was hard to get brand new agents to get this conversion. And so I did have to hire more experienced agents. And what we found was like, I could take an agent that was doing 5-6 deals a year, put him on the team, leverage him up with leads and support, and get him cranking 20 to 30 deals. And then at year 2, they'd say, Brett, this is awesome. I'm making tons of money. And, I kind of would like to do my own thing. I think I got this figured out. But invariably, they would leave the team. They would go from doing 20 to 30 deals, they do more than they did originally, but maybe doing like 9, 10, 11 deals, and I did exit interviews with these people like, hey, do you want to do more business? But you're just taking it easy. Like, no, I do want to do more business. But, that team environment with like lots of leads, lots of opportunity, lots of support, and the camaraderie, like helped me push to a higher level. So as I was having that turnover, I went to Gary and Keller and I'm like, dude, what do I do, man? And he said, Brett, you need to think bigger. Like your role, I mean, this is emblazoned in my mind, right? It's a quote, but it stuck with me. He said, your role as a leader is to consistently expand your world so that your best people can live out their greatest ambitions within it. And ironically, it's something that Gary told me that eventually caused me to leave Keller Williams and start my own brokerage and find this model where I could offer kind of leads, systems, and support that people would find inside of a team, but a higher split structure than they could at a brokerage. Because what ends up happening, why people leave real estate teams is, those agents get more accomplished and they have their peers that are doing their own deals and they're getting a higher split on that sphere of influence. Most agents will still be happy to work throw a deal in their lap that somebody's highly motivated, ready to list a house or buy a house. They'll pay 50, they'll take a 50% split on that. I think most sensible agents would. But where agents get to is that they want a higher split on that business that they generate on their own, and traditional teams don't offer that. So we landed on a variation of the model where we said, okay, well, if the agents just have to have more experience, they got to earn the right to it, and that's what we landed on, Aaron. And so what it's enabled us to do is I still have my real estate team, that traditional team splits around 50-50, 40-60. Depending on the source of business. But on the brokerage side, the agents get an 80-20 split on their self-generated business. And we still drive a lot of business to those guys. About a third of the business they do, we provide the leads for them and they pay us a 30% or 35% referral fee. So we're still net 50-50 on those deals. But I got retention that I never had before and growth. So we were able to 10X, our business in about an 18-month period of time with this new model. And I do think with the portal, what we're going to see in the next 36 months is what I'm calling the industrialization of real estate. Like in every major metro in the country, you're going to have these mega teams and there are 50 to 100 agents. They're not like a brokerage. They run more like a team. They do 1,000+ transactions. And I think we're going to see that. And it's going to be driven, a lot of lead gen is driven in partnerships with the portals. Like we used to do paid advertising with Zillow, and they came out with their Flex program, which is basically a referral fee model that's performance based. The better you perform, the more leads you get, and they measure the customer experience and conversion rates and all these things. And it's provided like amazing predictable growth for us. Because those clients that come in, we deliver an amazing experience for them, and we pick up, every one of those transactions turns in lease to another organic transaction from referrals. So anyway, I think that's where things are headed for real estate in the next 36 months. We're going to see, fewer agents doing more deals, bigger teams that are coming. And, the average part-time agent is really, I think, going to probably get squeezed out, most of them out of the business because these competitive forces over the next, 24 to 36 months.
Yeah, because they're going to be able to grow. So you decided it was really changing a philosophy of the idea that, hey, it was okay to have agents and team members keep more of the commission than the other structures that were out there.
Not team members, but the agents on the team ridge side. Yeah, I still run my team. Yeah.
Right. So you have your team as that structure, but creating that team rich side where essentially members of your brokers in this scenario, it's really, they were going to earn more of the stuff. Yeah, they were going to get to keep more of what they earned, especially compared to everybody else. And the concept behind it was that amazing quote that you said from Gary. It was something like, you have to make your world big enough to where your best people can live out their biggest dreams inside your world.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly.
That is. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but that's, I remember.
I'm going to remember that. Like that is a different philosophy. It's a whole different game plan.
Especially if you bring talented people in your world. If you bring talented people in your world, that's how you know true talent, because they push you. They go, Aaron, okay, I'm done. Dude, I'm ready. What's next? Where are we going next? And if you bring talented people in your world and you adopt that philosophy, like they're under your wings, man, they're going to push you up and really stretch you beyond your comfort zone, probably certainly faster than you would on your own. And that's what I found. But dude, when in hindsight, I look back, it's flipping remarkable. Like I took a girl, I don't say took her. I mean, I like to say, I don't create winners. I help winners win bigger and faster. Mm-hmm. Here was a girl, she did 10 deals on her own at Keller Williams. She came onto my team for a year and did 36 transactions, really mastered like how to do high volume, high velocity real estate and with high service and high touch. And then her second year with me, I said, let's do this. Let's help you build a team. And so she added an agent, did 50 deals that next year. And she went from, her first year with that 10 deals, I think she made like 150 grand on my team. She did 36 deals and made like 300. Then year 3, she did 50 transactions, made about 600,000. And then last year we added 2 more team members to her team, and she did 90 million for 2.1 million in GCI and about a $1.5 million net. And like, dude, like changed her life, It was crazy. And so, yeah, it's super cool. Like I'm getting the most satisfaction of like, helping elevate other people. And I think it was Magic Johnson. I got to hear him speak recently at a conference, and he's like, man, now at this stage where I'm at, I just measure my success by the number of people that I can really help make successful. Yeah. And so I'm looking to adopt that. And yeah, it's cool because we're this Team Ridge model where we set up a platform and we help these struggling team owners. It's hard to build teams, man, to get the systems and the people and all that stuff right. And we let these people come in and just leverage everything that we've set up. And I've got another guy like who was building a team for a few years at Keller Williams, did like 20 million last year. 6 months time, he's doing 20 million a month, So anyway, it's cool to help other people succeed when you really land on something that works.
Yeah. And some of those examples are huge growth, and what a cool mindset change to be, because as business owners, we think about so much the risk and the reward and the profit and the loss. Everyone wants to share when you make a big profit on a house, but when you lose $100,000 profit on a house, nobody wants to share in that. I mean, and we've, as investors, we've experienced so many of that. So we get a mindset where it's like, hey, no, the reason that this is your pay is because yes, sometimes it's really profitable, but sometimes it isn't. But with this other mindset, you're like, no, there's, you can do it. All right. I got kind of one little fire round question for you. And it would just be, what's the number one trick to get your offer accepted right now? If you're representing buyers, agents in this crazy market.
Well, I'm going to give you 2 answers, because one is this may or may not be available in your market. The first is see what options that you have to facilitate or make your buyer a cash buyer. There's a company out there called HomeLight. They were really an agent matching service at first, but they have a mortgage lending division now, and they have a product called Cash Close. And basically they'll pre-approve a buyer with a traditional mortgage, but then approve them as a cash buyer. So we can go out and write cash offers for them with an 8-day close. Because and then they basically, once they get that offer accepted, they start the underwriting process for the traditional mortgage. They'll close in 8 days, hold the deed until the traditional mortgage is underwritten, and then the buyer gets that house. It's a cool innovation. So it may or may not be available in all markets, but if I would look into it, would be the first thing, because cash offers have the highest, or three times more likely to get your offer accepted in a competitive situation if it's all cash. Yeah. But But secondly, or outside of that, I would say just a general principle: show up like no one else, and do your homework. Build rapport with that listing agent. Be proactive and visible, and communicate with them, and not where you pester them, but you're friendly, you're polite, you're nice, and make sure that you do all the right things and write a clean offer and make the job for the listing agent easy. Put a cover page with a summary of all your terms on the offer that you send your offer, so that the listing agent doesn't have to unpack 30 pages of a PDF to figure out what all the terms are. Right. And that's probably the best thing that you can do, besides, letting your buyers know that it's going to be competitive and they're going to get uncomfortable, because nothing in this market, I probably speak this for the whole country, no one's getting anything worthwhile in this market in their comfort zone.
Yeah.
So
yeah, everything is a stretch right now. Well, Brett, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to reach out to you. They're going to want to learn more about your Team Bridge model. There may even be some people out there in San Jose that want to talk to you more about what you're doing.
Yeah.
What's the best way for people to find you?
Dude, I'm happy to help. You can look me up on Facebook. Brett Jennings in San Jose, Silicon Valley. You can DM me there. We also have a blog that we set up. It's called Be a Real Expert. I've got some great tactical training tips for, we did a series on getting your buyer's offers accepted. A lot of great stuff there. So check out the blog, Be a Real Expert. And if you are in the San Francisco Bay Area or in California and you're looking to grow, reach out. I'll be happy to do a strategy session with you. If you go to the blog, you can request a strategy session. Even if we decide not to work together or it doesn't make sense, I'll still lend my perspective and see what I can do to help you grow your business. That's what I love to do.
Brett, great stuff today. So much value for so many listeners. Thank you for coming on the show, and Real Estate Rockstars. Thanks for listening.
Dude, thanks for having me, Aaron. Have a great one.
You too.
All right, Real Estate Rockstars. This is Aaron Muchastegui jumping in again to thank you for listening to the show. Hopefully you guys loved listening to that one. And I want to make sure that you know about all of the extra resources that we have. And also, we need your help. They say podcasts are free. You get to listen to podcasts for free. But what is the cost of that podcast? I would say if I could beg you to pay anything for that podcast, I would say the cost of the podcast is going and giving a review. So whether you download it on Google or Apple or YouTube or anywhere else, please go give us a review. Say what you liked, what you didn't like. It helps us get better guests. The more reviews, the higher we get in the rankings. Right now, we are the biggest podcast out there for real estate agents, and we want to keep that spot because we know there's lots of podcasts out there. So go give us a review. Also, be sure to go to hibandigital.com. If you liked any of the resources that those real estate agents talked about, we've got a huge video vault of those resources for free. Every penny that comes on the podcast that we interview, they give us something that helps them get their deals or helps them work with their clients. And we put that in the toolbox in our vault for you. So go to hibandigital.com and you can get it. If you're looking for real estate education, go to rebusuniversity.com. We have all sorts of courses in there to help agents succeed in real estate. How to get the listing, how to negotiate deals, how to become an investor, all sorts of different stuff, rebusuniversity.com. And if you want to chat with me, go find me on Instagram. And if you come find me on Instagram, you can send me messages. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. We try to put a bunch of content out there too. You can find me in two different places. It's at rerockstars.com for our Real Estate Rockstars page, or at aaronmuchastegui.com for my personal Instagram page, where I can chat with you about all sorts of different things. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.